Hi, Cooper community. My name is Colleen Evans, and I am the Dean of Students at Cooper Middle School. This past Tuesday on October 17th, we had a Cobra Community Circle. It was from 7 to 7:45 in our LMC, and the focus was detoxing from a digital world. So a couple things we did was just a virtual check-in. We looked at some research and digital data. And then lastly, we were talking about how your phone is physically and emotionally changing you, as well as ways we can partner together with the home and the school to help support our students detox from a digital world. So jumping right in 2021, there was a census conducted by Common Sense Media, and the use of screen media by middle and high school students has gone drastically up 17% from the start of the pandemic. Now, we know that this is due to increasing Google Meet sessions and Zoom sessions because school was virtual. However, that number is still increasing as students have gone back to school in person. On average, kids are spending over 8 hours a day on some type of entertainment screen media. So, so when we think about where teens spend a majority of their time is either at home or in school. Teens spend an average of 7 hours and 22 minutes on their phones a day, and tweens between the ages of 8 and 12, 4 hours and 44 minutes. Now, when we partner with schoolwork, teens are now spending 9 hours and 49 minutes and tween 5 hours and 54 minutes. That's a significant amount of time on screen usage, whether it be phones and Chromebooks or video games. So the smartphone came out just actually several years ago, and by the age of 11, 53% of kids have their very own smartphone. By the age of 12, just 1 year later, that number goes up to 69% of kids. A majority of our students here at Cooper Middle School do have a smartphone or some type of electronic device. Maybe it's a gizmo or Apple Watch, but a lot of our students are coming in with a smartphone. Now, we know that in addition to the smartphone, there are a lot of social media usages that teens and tweens are using. This was a research study that was done in 2014 to 2015 and then conducted as a side by side in 2022. You can see the number for YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, and Facebook are some of the most commonly used social media platforms that teens use. And here is an array of different types of social media that we all use and that are accessible to us today. But we want to kind of go into a deeper delve. So Officer Essig joined us on Tuesday for our Cobra Circle and kind of gave us a rundown of both Snapchat and TikTok. And I just want to illuminate a couple of points. So Snapchat is a communication application that was originally designed for phones, but now can be used through a desktop or a laptop. When making an account, the user agrees that they have to be 13 years old. However, we notice a lot of our students are much younger and have Snapchat accounts. I think what is really important is that there is a misconception with Snapchat that once you post something, it automatically disappears. But we know that that's actually not true. And so we've been talking to our students about a digital footprint and that everything that you put out on a digital platform actually stays somewhere. That data is collected and stored. And so there is this misconception among students that it will just go away and there's no ramifications. I can say, I can post anything, I could put pictures out there, and no one's going to see it. But what we find is in the office, there are screenshots that come through the office and it actually is saved. So there's this quote of the get out of jail free card from the Monopoly game is what students will say. And we want to really disrupt that way of thinking to say that's actually not true, because that is one of the appeals to Snapchat. And then lastly, TikTok. So TikTok was really a social network for sharing user generated videos. Mostly it was people lip singing to popular songs or doing dances. And people were just uploading and grouping them and hashtagging them. And what is interesting with TikTok is, though, we don't see it as much, but we know that there were definitely some trends just about 2 years ago, the infamous TikTok challenge, where students were encouraged to have like destructive behaviors in bathrooms, breaking things in the stalls, soap dispensers. We've seen a huge decrease of those behaviors, which is fantastic, and we want to continue that trend. So lastly, we talked about ways to proactively support your student. One thing is it's really important to spend one day tracking mobile device use and the amount of time you spend. And being just consciously aware of how many times you might react when you hear the buzz on your watch or on your phone, and when you're kind of this sense of urgency to look and to respond. So just kind of monitoring the amount of time, and also when you're using it. Are you using it right first thing in the morning or right before bed? And building in routines and structures with your teen to really make sure that students are not using those devices at least 2 hours before bed. Second is try to reduce the time that you find after doing like a 1 day deep delve, and together brainstorm ways to accomplish this. Maybe you're going to turn off notifications. Maybe you're going to designate certain times to have dinner together where it is a device free dinner, or play actual board games or cards where you're asking each other questions. Really, again, detoxing from anything that is digital. And like I said, establishing those technology free times. But I think when you are engaging with technology, making sure you're setting up some ground rules. So I like to give the example of when we teach somebody to ride a bike. We don't just hand over the bike. Typically, we will teach them the mechanisms of the bike. Like, these are the brakes. This is how you will stop. You might even take some safety precautions of putting a helmet on before. The same goes for when you are starting to drive. You don't just hand over the keys to a car and say good luck. You have to learn the rules of the road first. So same with technology. When we're handing a smartphone over to a teen, it's really important that we establish those guidelines. And when we're using technology, if we're going to be using Snapchat or TikTok, one suggestion Officer Essex said is make sure you're doing that in a setting in the home where everyone's together. So, like a living room or a kitchen versus students alone in their bedroom with the door closed after 8 o'clock. Often that's when we start to see some problematic behavior. We really thank you for taking a couple minutes to watch this presentation, and we would love to invite you to our next Cobra Circle, which will be on Tuesday, December 19th at 7 o'clock. Hope to see you there. Thank you. Bye-bye.